Hey everyone, Ashley Josephine here. So today I'm going to show you how to do Chaturanga Dandasana the right way. Chaturanga Dandasana is also known as high plank to low plank, and it's a sequence of poses that is used very frequently in Vinyasa flow classes, the type of yoga that I teach. And you see them in all classes really. It's great for strengthening the core. It also uses a lot of shoulder and upper body strength. And it's one of the most commonly done poses wrong. So I want to break it down for you today so that you have the opportunity to work on it at home and in your classes when you go to the studio, so that you can be doing Chaturanga the right way. If you can do Chaturanga the right way, you'll be able to do yoga for the rest of your life without any injuries. The most common injuries in yoga happen over time. They're repetitive stress injuries, and they happen when you do a pose or you learn how to do a pose the wrong way, and then you do it over and over and over again the wrong way. It puts a lot of damage and pressure on ligaments and joints. You wear it out over time. So we don't want that to happen, and it's important that you have correct alignment in your poses. So I'm going to start by showing you how I see Chaturanga Dandasana done most frequently. You might be able to relate with some of these ways that I'm going to show you when done wrong. The problem is that when you're in a class with a lot of people, the instructor just doesn't have the opportunity to give individual attention to everyone, and so little things that they don't catch or see in the class that you might be doing, you end up thinking you're doing it right because the instructor's not giving you that one-on-one feedback. So I want to be able to give you that one-on-one feedback the best that I can. I'm going to show you how it's done the wrong way first, so that you can maybe see in yourself some of the things that you might be doing incorrectly. So Chaturanga Dandasana starts in a high plank position. Now, high plank is a huge core strengthener, and if you're not able to hold high plank for a few breaths, you can always lower down onto your knees. This is a perfectly suitable alternative for doing Chaturanga Dandasana if you don't have the core strength to hold yourself up. When you're in high plank pose, it should feel like a corset. What I see most often is people sagging in the belly because they can't hold themselves up with that corset-like action of the core. If that's you, that's okay. It just means that you don't have that strength. It's much better to acknowledge that you don't have that strength so that you can do the things to build up that strength over time, and taking modifications, poses such as this, will help you build up the upper body strength and the core strength that you need to eventually, at some point down the road, do Chaturanga Dandasana the right way from the full position. So, you'll start by either coming to a modified position on your knees, or coming to the full high plank position wearing that corset, pulling in the core. Chaturanga Dandasana, the pose itself, is lowering down halfway so that the elbows bend to a 90-degree angle. What I'll see most often is this. People take their elbows out to the side thinking that they're doing a full push-up position. That's really going to damage your elbows, and it's probably not going to feel very good. You want to imagine that your elbows are glued into the side of your rib cage and that they cannot move out to the side. Really pull your elbows in. So whether you're modifying from the knees or you're up in the full position, your elbows come straight back into the rib cage. The elbows do not splay out to the side. You're only coming down to a 90-degree angle. I'll see people come all the way down to their bellies. Now your shoulders are in front of your elbows and you're putting a ton of body weight on your shoulders. This is doing nothing to help you build upper body strength if you bring the shoulders forward. It's just tipping a bunch of your body weight into the shoulders, and over time you will hurt the shoulders, and I have done this myself from doing Chaturanga over and over and over again. It's better to not go down all the way, to only go down 1 or 2 inches, than to go down all the way to your belly. So, starting from the high plank position, or down on your knees, lower, halfway down or above, no further than a 45-degree angle with the elbows pulled in. From there we move into either upward facing dog or cobra. Now to get to cobra, you need to come down onto the belly. So with the knees lowered and the elbows still pulling in, slowly bring the belly down so that you're still not rocking a whole lot of weight into the shoulders. Your hands will come underneath the shoulders, still keep the elbows pulled in, press the tops of the feet down into the mat, and inhale the chest up with the gaze down on the ground. Cobra pose, in the low cobra position, is a spine strengthening pose. So you're using the strength of your low back to lift you up. That means little to no weight in your hands. You should be able to pull your hands up off the ground. When you press your hands into the ground and lift your torso up even further,
You're taking some of the spine strengthening motion out because you're putting most of the weight in the hands. Instead, you're finding a spine stretch here. So depending on what you want, if you want to stretch the spine, you can press up. If you want to strengthen the spine, then stay in the low cobra position. Now this pose, for a lot of people, can really hurt the low back. So the minute that you start to feel a crunching or an uncomfortable feeling in the low back, start to bend the elbows and come down and out of it. When you're pressing into the hands, really strengthen the core to help support the low back, and think of moving forward rather than up. Keep moving forward. Pull the palms of the hand back. They won't actually move, but you'll feel like you're pulling the palms of the hand back to stretch your spine forward, and that will help you get out of the low back. So let's review. Chaturanga Dandasana, modified from the knees, lower halfway down. From there, scoot your feet back, lower your belly onto the ground, inhale up to a cobra pose, pull your hands and your elbows in towards your ribs, press your the tops of your feet into the ground. Then you come back to your hands and knees and shift back to downward facing dog. That is the Chaturanga Dandasana sequence. That's a really modified sequence that's great for people that are new to the pose, that are still getting their feel for the different poses and how they feel in their bodies. Remember, you can go to cobra, low cobra, strengthening the spine, or you can press into the hands and come up to find a lengthening or a stretch in the spine. Now, the other option is to start from a high plank or even a modified position. Lower halfway down Chaturanga Dandasana, flip over the tops of the toes without coming to the knees and pull the chest forward. Right now this is upward facing dog. I'm pressing the tops of the feet so firmly into the ground that my knees are up off the mat. My tailbone's tucked down, my hands are pressing firmly into the ground, and I'm pulling the shoulder blades across the back, so it's like you're pulling a pencil together between the shoulder blades. This is another big back opener, a big heart opener. It feels really nice on the back. From here, you press up with the core almost to a high plank position, and then flip over the tops of your toes and move back to downward facing dog. That is the full version of Chaturanga Dandasana, and also an option if you're able to keep that core sit. Upward facing dog, again, is a really great pose for stretching the spine and for opening up the chest and the heart area. So all of these different poses can be used and linked together for Chaturanga Dandasana. It's important that you listen to your body, that you're honest with where you are in your strength, and that you start from the beginning and work yourself up so that you can get into the pose safely for years to come. This was my breakdown on Chaturanga Dandasana, high plank to low plank, with a heart opener, either cobra or upward facing dog, and then back to downward facing dog. This transition is used in most Vinyasa and yoga classes, and it's great to be able to have the foundations of this pose so that you know when you're going to class, you're taking care of your body, and you're safe. If you ever have any questions about this sequence or any other poses in yoga, please send me an email, comment in the comments below underneath this video. Connect with me on Facebook or Twitter. I'd love to answer all of your questions and show you how to do yoga the right way. My name is Ashley Josephine. I'm so glad that you've joined me on the mat. I'll see you again soon. Namaste.